South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa and his cabinet are facing a vote of no confidence on Wednesday in the National Assembly over allegations raised by the opposition. The official opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, raised the motion in February this year, saying the ruling African National Congress, which has been in power since 1994, has failed to bridge the economic divide in the country since the end of apartheid. The DA Parliamentary Chief Whip, Natasha Mazone, said in a statement on Tuesday, and I quote, President Ramaphosa's government had the opportunity to grow the economy by easing the doing of business and fostering local and foreign investment. Instead, they allowed infrastructure to degenerate amongst beyond repair, rolling blackouts to become part of daily lives and poverty to flourish. The ANC rejected the claims, saying it is working hard, amongst other things, to reverse the legacy of apartheid by introducing policies to favor disadvantaged communities. A recent report by the World Bank found that South Africa is the most unequal country in the world, with race playing a key role in a society where 10% of the white population still holds 80.6% of the financial assets 27 years after the end of apartheid. Arise South Africa correspondent Mxolosi Masango joins us now to speak on the politics behind the parliament's bid and likely import for the president's political future. Thank you for joining the program this afternoon. Once again, it seems like Ramaphosa is in a sticky situation with this vote of no confidence. Can you give us just some background and what you think will be the outcome for his political career?
Look, this dates back to some months ago when the African Transformation Movement ATM came out and said that they lost confidence in the leadership of President Ramaphosa, of course, citing several reasons behind this, most importantly being that of allegations of corruptions of members in his cabinet, and of course, some of the social ills that we've been seeing in the country. So the ATM came and said that, they have no confidence in President Ramaphosa and decided to table this motion of no confidence. Of course, this was at a backdrop of a parliament speaker who refused to hear it out at first. So there has been some court battles that have been going on, which are also looming currently because the African Transformation Movement, the ATM, which brought this motion of no confidence against the president, said they would want members in parliament to vote via secret ballot. This is a request which Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, the Speaker of the South African Parliament, said is not going to happen. Everyone must vote, and everybody's vote must be known what they actually voted for, whether to have President Ramaphosa or not. So then the ATM comes back at the last hour as I'm literally looking at the speaker's list for the debate that is expected to proceed in Parliament probably in the next few minutes. It was supposed to have started 30 minutes ago, but the debate was, moved further back. The list as it is, the very same people, the ATM, which brought up this motion of no confidence against Ramaphosa, are nowhere to be seen in the speaker's list. We have some DA members, we have some EFF members, some IFP members, FF Plus, as well as the other parties. But the main party that brought up this motion of no confidence is not taking part in the debate this afternoon because they say it defeats the purpose for them. If they motion to have this secret ballot was not heard in Parliament, then they do not want to partake in it. So we're expecting to hear what's going to come out of that because, mind you, there are two motions of no confidence that have been brought up. The first one was against President Ramaphosa, which was brought up by the ATM, and the second one is against his cabinet, which was brought by the official opposition party, the Democratic Alliance.
Doesn't it suggest a bit of foul play, seeing that the ATM is not looking to participate in its own motion? And also, why did the Speaker allow roll call voting for the DA's motion of no confidence in the cabinet?
So you look now, it's a two-sided coin because we've seen this happening during the tenure of the former president Jacob Zuma, where there were court battles with then former Speaker Baleka Mbete having been taken to court because she had not allowed to have the secret ballot at the first place. So we've seen how this normally happens. There's normally court battles that go into the mix there. At the back of that, we will be seeing this one by the official opposition, which is the Democratic Alliance, which they said they having this debate of motion of no confidence against the official cabinet, against the President Ramaphosa's cabinet. And the speakers list as it stands right now has also come out. It was released an hour ago. So we're expecting that to be happening. Also, we're seeing that the ATM is nowhere to be seen as well in that list. More than anything else, it can't really be foul play. It could just merely be politics at play, seeing that the Speaker of Parliament itself is a member of the African National Congress. One thing I can tell you, all guns blazing, most of these political parties normally, string out court battles, which will see them probably be back at the spot where they are again debating the very same thing in the next few weeks after those lengthy court battles.
So can you tell us, how is this no confidence motion likely to play out in Parliament?
I personally don't think it is likely to hold water at this time, seeing the composition of Parliament, first of all, and whether or not these votes of no confidence will see the light of day, whether they'll be able to hold up a majority, is another question after this, because first of all, we need to look at the composition of Parliament itself, which is largely ANC. Are people likely to vote against Ramaphosa? Yes, there has been some talks of some infighting within the ruling party, but for people to actually stand against their leader in the chamber, is mostly likely to be a far-drawn thing. We've seen this during the tenure of President Jacob Zuma. Such a no-confidence motion most of the times does not really hold water. So how this is going to be playing out in the next few minutes is really something that we are going to be keeping a red eye on, especially seeing that the very same parties, such as the ATM, decided to not partake in that. And they have indicated right now, as we're speaking, on their Twitter page that they're likely to file for a court motion to try and bring the Speaker of Parliament to have this vote via a secret ballot.
And is this motion of no confidence likely to pass? Exactly, do you know how many votes are needed for that to happen?
Well, it's likely to be more than that 50%. And once again, we look at that composition of Parliament, which I've also stated earlier, that is mostly key ANC members. Motion of no confidence are likely not to hold water, especially when they are held via an open ballot, which we've seen in Parliament. Even sometimes through secret ballots, they're likely not to hold water. It's most of the structures of the political parties that come out to say that if we put a leader in power, it's only up to us, that can only bring the leader down, that can only ask the leader to step down, not members of opposition parties, and certainly not through a public platform such as the Parliament chamber.
Mxolosi, I think it's going to be a busy week for the South African president. Depending on how today goes, do you know how things might play out when he's supposed to actually make an appearance and give testimony concerning what happened last July?
Well, Cyril Ramaphosa did come out and submit himself and say that he would be, if he was subpoenaed or asked to appear before the commission, which was probing the July unrest from last year, he would be in a position to come forward and, of course, give testimony. We've seen the likes of the police minister, Begicele, who's given his testimony and said that he was working under the leadership of the ANC government, under the leadership of President Ramaphosa, who had on most occasions, had an ear on the ground and knew essentially what was happening on all ends. So you would say that this is a president that's really trying to play to say that he has always been there. He's always been in a position to be held accountable for whatever that happens under his leadership. Whether what he says versus what he do is one thing is also a matter of another day, seeing that we've seen the likes of, another potential unrest, which will be fueled by how the outcomes of the former President Jacob Zuma's court battles go in the next few months. There has been some rumors how we might see more unrest in the country, depending on how that sways, because we're expecting to see the former president back in court over the next few weeks. Also remains to be seen. But I can tell you right now, as far as the commission that is probing the July unrest in the country is concerned, they did indicate that they might not really be interested in bringing the president. But of course, we had a president who said that he'd be able to submit himself should he be subpoenaed to appear before the commission itself.
Well, so I'd like to know two things at this moment. How are South Africans reacting to the no confidence motion? And then no matter the outcome, of the motion, what's the implication on the president's political career and also on his government?
Well, South Africans are definitely, most of them, we're seeing them being nonchalant to what has been happening. I'll tell you why. We have seen over the past couple of years since Cyril Ramaphosa took up the reins, from the time that there was a global pandemic, there was COVID-19 that the country was rocked with. We've seen officials in the country back to back being held, as well as fingered in corruption, as well as other scandals in which money that was meant to be fighting this global pandemic was swindled, in which monies were meant to be buying PPE as well as being pumped into the health sector was being stolen by some of these officials. We've seen how the Special Investigating Unit has also said that it would be time for the president to take action. Most South Africans are calling to have a leadership under the ANC that is decisive when it takes its action. I'm going to make an example about what we've seen now recently. Just literally a few minutes ago, one of the former ministers, or rather ministers in his cabinet, have been found guilty for perjury. Cyril Ramaphosa comes out to the public platform and says that he's not in a position to suspend that official until there's an official probe, as well as a meeting within the ANC that finds her guilty. So South Africans are quite tired of that, in which they feel that they have a leadership, first of all, that is not willing to be held accountable whenever there's corruption, whenever there's scandal. But also, on the other hand, you have a president and a leadership that is not really decisive when dealing with such matters that are very important and closest to the hearts of South African, seeing that most South Africans are poor and most South Africans are jobless, and they're looking for opportunities which which are supposed to be helping with that plight are being channeled towards corruption, being channeled towards scandal. So that's what we're seeing with most South Africans at this particular point in time. They're wishing for a very decisive leadership under the likes of President Ramaphosa. We've seen right now with the leadership conference, which is coming up at the end of this year within the ruling party, it has sparked so many allegations of infighting within the party. So it remains to be seen how that is going to play out at the end of the year.
Well, thank you so much for joining the program this afternoon, South African correspondent Mxolosi Masango.